Good afternoon. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Jim Thornton, the chair of the board here at the Baltimore Museum of Art. Hello, Baltimore. I'm delighted to welcome everyone here in the auditorium and also watching live stream to a Baltimore homecoming, Amy Sherald and Asma Naeem in conversation. The opportunity to present this exhibition was unexpected and organized in a matter of weeks. And I am proud of the way the BMA staff, my fellow trustees, and our global community of donors rose to the occasion to bring Amy Sherald's magnificent retrospective to Baltimore. Amy has said, and I quote, "Baltimore has always been part of my DNA as an artist. Every brushstroke carries a little of its history, its energy, its people, and my time there. To bring this exhibition here is to return that love. We are happy to share that love back, Amy." Amy's vibrant paintings celebrate Black Americans from all walks of life and unite us with their humanity. No one is left out, and this is more important now than ever. This exhibition is another example of the BMA's vision to welcome visitors from all backgrounds and tell the stories of Baltimore and the world. I would like to recognize the curatorial team who worked with Asma on the show. Cecil Wickman, curator and head of Contemporary, was exemplary. And she and Asma were supported by Annie Roberts and Dylan Hill, and the education team who organized this event, Elizabeth Callahan, Tracy Beal, and Anyu Jaku. I want to express my profound appreciation to the BMA trustees for their unanimous support for this exhibition. I also want to offer my profound gratitude to the many foundations and individual donors who have made this exhibition possible, especially the Mellon Foundation, who was the first sponsor. I also want to thank the Ford Foundation, the Terror Foundation for American Art, Housen Worth, David Emery and Tom Cruise, Amy Elias and Richard Pearlstone, the Pearlstone Family Fund, Ark and Mark Meadows, Robert Meyerhoff and Rita Becker, Katie Adams Schaefer, Joanne Gold and Andrew Stern, our former chair Fred Kuntz, Pat Lasher and Richard Jacobs, Dr. John Meyerhoff and Linnell Soroki Meyerhoff, George Petruchelis and Mintis Yalis, and the Aaron Strauss and Lily Strauss Foundation. Last but not least, I would like to thank the entire BMA staff for all of their hard work in making the Baltimore Museum of Art one of the top 20 museums in this country. Now I would like to invite our special guest, MICA's Dean Emeritus, artist, curator, art historian, and our dear friend, Dr. Leslie King Hammond, to say a few words. Dr. Hammond.
Hello, Baltimore. Welcome to the Baltimore Museum of Art. This is where American Sublime should have been all along. Thank you, John Thornton, Asma Naeem, and the BMA staff for the honor to make contextual remarks to these deeply contested times. Our democracy, the freedom of speech, America's historical legacies, civil liberties, and the essence of our very existence are being dismantled, denied, censored, negated, ignored, ultimately to erase truths and impose false narratives of this nation's historical legacy and achievements of citizens crucial to the foundational building blocks of this nation. More specifically, the very positive, dynamic qualities, and integrative of Baltimore City and its proud, loyal citizens have been blighted with constant misinformation. You know I gotta speak my truth. We are all here to celebrate, honor, and support Amy Sherald, the director of this museum, the Baltimore Museum of Art, and the staff who have raised the bar on standards of professional and artistic excellence as we witness the world of American art in crisis. Amy has riveted the art world with the brilliance of her artistic vision and the clarifying power of her moral compass. Her relationships throughout Baltimore are deeply embedded in crucial ties to several distinguished institutions. MICA afforded a MFA degree with painter Grace Hardigan while I was the dean of MICA's graduate school. Oh my God. No offense, it was like herding feral cats. She acquired a studio at the iconic Sub-Basement Gallery founded by Jeffrey Kent. A residency at the Creative Alliance formed lifelong relationships with artists like Renee Trevino, whom Amy nominated his work for exhibition at the recent London Frieze Art Fair. During a senior fellowship with the Robert W. Deutsch Foundation, I was able to facilitate a studio in Motor House where Amy created Michelle Obama's commissioned portrait. The people in Baltimore's communities are the foundational building blocks we witness in the stellar magnificence of American Sublime. Amy's artistic intellect, like that of Baltimore's own MacArthur Diva Genius Fellow Joyce J. Scott, affirm the socio-political challenges in all of our daily lives. This presence of creative, imaginative genius in Baltimore fiercely celebrates with humbling grace and humility ordinary African Americans as extraordinary people living their lives in the crosshairs of America's xenophobic culture. Each composition radiates regal beauty, resilience, and the empowering dignity of humanity. Amy sees us. We see Amy. She lifts each of us to a higher ground of truths, of empathy, compassion, and gratitude. With that, I would like to bring forward Asma Naeem, who in 3 months, and those of you in the museum world and those of you not, know that it takes exhibitions nearly 3 to 5 years to come together. When Amy decided that the Smithsonian was not the place to do respect to her work, she pulled this exhibition together to have it happen here. So I would like you all to stand and give her a rousing applause. Asma. Come.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the Baltimore Museum of Art. I'm Asma Naeem, the Dorothy Wagner Wallace Director here. The electricity here is palpable. My heart is beating out of my chest. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Amy Sherald.
I had to get y'all hype. Lil Wayne on a Sunday. Of course, without the lyrics.
Congratulations, congratulations, Amy. You're here back in Baltimore, the city that loves you more than any other.
I love you back.
On behalf of all of us here at Baltimore Museum of Art and the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland and the region of the DMV, because I know there's a lot of you here from down south, thank you. Thank you for giving us this gift of an exhibition, Amy Sherald, American Sublime. Can we hear it for the exhibition? So I know folks are on the edge of their seat to see our glamorous artist and hear from you. So shall we dive right in?
Let's do it.
All right. All right, I wanted to start at the beginning. There's been some videos that share your upbringing. I was mesmerized seeing you drive through your hometown and your neighborhood in Georgia. And I wanted to have you share with the audience here what it was like growing up in Columbus, Georgia in the 70s and 80s, which you have described specifically as an all-American childhood. So can you say a few words or recall some images, because I know you're so visual, of what it was like growing up?
I mean, I feel like I had an idealistic childhood in the sense of the neighborhood that I grew up in. I had community. I had friends in my neighborhood. We played together after school. I had 2 parents in my household. I went to church every weekend. I got spanked with a belt and a switch from a switch tree, which is like maybe a 70s thing, 80s thing, but now it probably has CPS services called after them, but so it was ideal. I went to a Catholic school from kindergarten to 12th grade with the same people all the way through. And I guess it's all-American too, because it also, I was born in 1973. And so there was still a lot of residual racism in the city that I grew up in. It was a small town. One of the largest Army bases in America is still there, Fort Benning. So the town is divided by Macon Road, which is the black side is on the south side and the white side was on the north side. And when my parents were, despite their success when they were looking for homes, they knew that they could not get a home in this neighborhood called Green Island Hills where everybody lived. It's like the golf club and all that. So I grew up in the black version of that. So I feel like I had the same experiences as my white counterparts in high school, but it was just like mirrored on the other side. So I had a debutante ball, but it was an all-black debutante ball. And then there was the other debutante ball. So there's that. So it was just very black and white, like literally just very black and white.
Mm. And seeing some of the images of your family's home and seeing such beautiful historical family photographs like Jewel, your grandmother, how did that begin to shape what you were thinking about, what you wanted to do, if at all?
I mean, at that age, I'm not sure I understood my fascination with photography. Again, I'm 52, so all I had was encyclopedias. And
Me too.
and like 3 stations on a TV. So I spent a lot of time, because we didn't have computers until like Tandy 2000 came out. So I spent a lot of time. Y'all don't even know what that is. Half of you don't even know what that is. But I spent a lot of time looking at books. So I am an introvert, as you probably already know, those that know me. So I spent a lot of time at home by myself just looking at pictures, and I would constantly go back to those same pictures and look at these photographs of my family present, and then the few that we had from the past. And just, wondering who they were. My mom grew up without a mother because she was born in Mobile, Alabama, and her mother died giving childbirth because she wasn't able to get treatment because the closest hospital was a white hospital. So, there's a heaviness that came along with those photographs, and looking at that picture and understanding what happened to her, that I carried it with me. I carried it forward, and somehow in the mix of my life and all the things that happen in an artist's life in order to make work, because I say you can't make work until you've lived a life. And so it all came together, I guess, here in graduate school. And for me, what really brought it together was a book written by Deborah Willis called The History of the Black Female Body. And
yes.
That was my introduction to, I guess, like what you would consider academic language around photography, and that really triggered something for me, and then it just kind of happened from there. But at the time in grad school, I was just making really bad work. So, I don't know how I got into grad school. Ignorance is bliss, because had I known what I was getting into, I probably wouldn't have applied. But, yeah.
Well, let's go back a few steps, because I want to know when you knew that you wanted to be an artist. Everybody wants to be an artist, I feel like. I wanted to be an artist, but how did you know, and when did it strike you that you were going to get not only an undergrad degree, but a postgraduate degree?
Well, I didn't know this in the second grade, but I knew in the second grade. I didn't know about grad school, but second
grade. You knew in second grade?
I knew in second grade.
Wow.
It's all I wanted to do. I mean, mostly because it didn't require me being around other people. But, so, everything starts with, like Kenny G, he said if he wasn't from Seattle, and if it didn't rain as much as it did, and he didn't have to stay at home and inside all the time because of the rain, that he might not have been the saxophone player that he is today. So, I mean, there's something to it, I guess. But, so second grade I knew. It's just something that I was naturally inclined to do. I used to cook a lot, so I was like the little chef of my family. And then I guess I met Arturo Lindsay at Spelman College. I was pre-med up until I was a junior. Wow. I changed my major without telling my parents, because this is not what Martin Luther King died for, apparently. Was for me to be a painter. I'm quoting those words. So. So lawyer, doctor, my great uncle was a mortician. I had educators in my family, but nobody knew what it meant for me to say that I was going to be an artist. I didn't know what that meant, right? So we didn't grow up going to museums or anything like that. I went to my first museum when I was in college, and then I didn't go back again until I was in grad school. And there was 5 years in between, so it just wasn't in me to go look at artists' work or learn about art, but I was just always constantly making it. So post grad school and probably a few talks with Leslie, you need to get your wits about yourself. Because grad school was hard. I made the decision when I graduated that, okay, I'm in debt, $50,000 or whatever it was, but I didn't come this far to get a job to pay back my school loans. And so I was just like, F it. I'm just not going to pay back my school loans, and I'm just gonna try to be an artist. And it took me 14 years to kind of get to a place where I started to get the attention that I needed in order to have a career.
Yeah, and I think what you all are hearing right now is the sense of perseverance that Amy has. And for those of you who saw that 60 Minutes interview, You also heard about how, Amy, you don't want to quit. I want to take a few other steps back because we are here in Baltimore. So I want to hear what made you apply to MICA. Did you know about MICA? Did you know
No.
about Baltimore? Did you know Maryland even existed?
No, I didn't. I have a friend who I took Arabic class with at Clark Atlanta University. Her name is Mayuri Holmes. And she left Clark, went to American University, and somehow made her way up to like DC. And I was looking at graduate schools. I had just left Atlanta. My dad was in the hospital. I was like letting go of my apartment to move home to help my mom. And then he ended up transitioning. And then it was like December, it was New Year's Eve. He died on New Year's Eve. And I was like, okay, now what am I gonna do? I was 28, and you know, there's a point when you're 28 years old where you're like, oh shit, I'm about to be old. And so I had that moment where I was like, I'm about to be old. And so I started applying to schools, and Mayuri said, you should look at MICA in Baltimore. I'm like, where is Baltimore? Like, I had no idea. It's the best decision I ever made, but she's the one that said that.
Best decision she ever made.
Amen.
Thank you, Amy.
Of course.
Talk to us about Grace Hardigan, your professor.
Wow, she was wonderful. She just, we would sit at her feet and listen to her tell stories about how hard it was to be a woman artist at her time. And I just feel really honored that I had the opportunity to work under her, and that, I think we were her last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was always so supportive of me, and like I said, I was very confused in graduate school. It was just my introduction to a lot of things that I felt far behind all of my contemporaries. And I guess it's safe to tell this story now, but I had to sign an NDA, so just shh. But I had this opportunity to go study with Odd Nerdrum in Norway, and it was her. I didn't have any money. I'd just gotten out of grad school, and I don't know where I was working then. Maybe I wasn't working at all. I think I was working at Mem Sahib in Lexington Market or something, my friend Ronnie's restaurant. And I said, I have this opportunity. I don't have any money to go. And she called a contact at the Joan Mitchell Foundation and got them to write me an emergency artist grant for just $3,000, but that was a lot of money then. And to buy my ticket, and then just for me to have money for food while I was there. And so she was always just on my side, and she would always say, I see myself in you. So I was like,
Amy's good with voices.
She was a rough one, You didn't know whether to curtsy or I guess ma'am. Yeah.
By the way, do you think it's any easier now to be a woman artist? I'm just going to throw that question in here.
I don't know. I feel like for me it's complicated because I've always been a black artist.
Yeah.
And so it starts there with me. I remember taking gender studies at MICA, and I was like, oh shit, I'm a woman too. I forgot, because everything always starts with this first, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that, it's a double negative, but race was always at the forefront of everything. So I took in everything that she said, but in my mind, I always felt like that's the second thing they see when they look at me. It's not the first thing.
Amy and I went out to dinner the other night, and as soon as we walked into the restaurant, she knew the maitre d'. She's like, do you remember me? We worked at Woodbury Kitchen. And that's how Amy is. Everywhere she goes, she remembers exactly where she knew you, and there's so much love. And I want to ask you this. Why did you work so hard during art school and afterwards? Why were you so busy?
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I had to eat. I had to eat. I mean, I had no other choice. I mean, I think for me, I left, when I decided, F it, I'm not going to pay back my school loans, I'm like, okay, next thing for me is finding something to do where I'm going to work smarter and not harder. And that was, for me, waiting tables, because I'm not a minimum wage girly. So I'm like, I can't make enough money to survive on minimum wage, but if I learn how to wait tables, then I can pull in enough cash to like buy those expensive tubes of cadmium red that are like $120, you know, while you're trying to pay your rent and pay your studio rent. So it was what made sense. But I also just have a passion for food. Like I said, when I was a small kid, I had this like recipe for scrambled eggs. It was like lemon pepper scrambled eggs, and I was making quiches and cakes and
Oh my God.
all kinds of things. My mom would just like write a check. A check. She would like tear her check out, sign her name. I would go into the Food Giant or Piggly Wiggly, and like fill up what I wanted, and like I would have to write out like $50.25, and I would go home and cook every Sunday.
Wow. Wow. You've always been a maker. Always been a maker.
I wanted to be a construction worker. That was like my dream job when I was. Or like work on cars. Like I just wanted to like do stuff like that.
Did not expect to hear that. Okay. So
hey, Jesus was a carpenter, so.
Finding your footing. How did it happen? What helped you to find your footing and make you a better painter? What didn't help? Answer in any order you want.
What helped me become a better painter? I just kept painting. I think also my time with Odd in Norway was really important because I never had formal training. Like I paint the way that I paint, but I'm also self-taught because that was too late for me to take painting classes when I was at Spelman. So I took painting 1, but then I had like my own kind of directed studies kind of situation. So that was the first time that I had studied with an artist that worked traditionally, like had studied from cadavers, and so just watching that, I clocked what he did, I clocked how he started paintings, and then after that, I wasn't painting for almost 5 years because I had to move back home, and then when I got back, I always tell people, like, you're working even though you're not working, so I didn't work for 5 years because I was caring for my family, but I was painting in my head, and my first day back in the studio, I just remember recalling how easy it was, because of what I had learned 4 or 5 years before, but had never practiced. But all I had to do was see it to understand it. So and then what was the other question?
And what didn't help? What did people tell you was supposed to help you become a better painter, but actually didn't help? Was there anything?
No.
Everything helps.
I think everything helps except for people that don't support you, as in like, yeah, girl, you're 35 years old, like, what are you doing with your life? But, I mean, I'm like, you're a civilian, you don't get it. I got my crew here, like, this is my crew. And they were all like, you got this, keep going. Like, I would call Dana, and Dana would be like, you got this, keep going. I just want to quit my job. She's like, don't do it. So, yeah.
Well, why did you settle on painting people? Why does painting people matter to you, Amy?
Because I realized I was a failed abstract expressionist when I was like 5. Like,
comes back to grace.
no, I mean, I remember like trying to make this. I think I'd seen like a Jackson Pollock painting in the encyclopedia, and I was like trying to remake it, and I didn't know how. I just knew I understood the randomness of it, but I didn't know how to make it work. And this painting, which I still have, it's just like, I remember painting it hot pink because for some reason that meant something to me. And I have like an arrow in it, and I have a hashtag, and I have like the @ sign and like some swishes. And I knew that it was bad. Even though I was like 5, I'm like, this isn't good. Like, this sucks. So, I think it was partly that, and partly like the photographs, and partly just, what under the A in art history and the encyclopedias, they just had a lot of paintings of figures. So for me, like learning how to draw the figure meant that was what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
As an artist, yeah.
Yeah, and I will say this, and I said this to you a while back. The first time I met you in Motor House, I remember you looking at me, and it was as if you were looking at every single pore, and I'm like, is my eyeliner on straight? I mean,
It's that Virgo eye.
She sees everything. Amy is the most observant person I have ever met in my entire life, and instantaneously. So let's talk about what captures your eye for a sitter. How does that happen?
It's facial features. It's symmetry, sometimes it's asymmetry, sometimes it's just an energy or a presence, sometimes it's beauty, sometimes it's not, you know. It's a little bit of everything.
And does it happen in like a specific circumstance, like when you're going to be walking down the street, you'll be
It
looking?
could be anywhere. Like I was in Mom's last week every day getting my Caesar kale crunch salad, and I saw a woman and I ended up getting her number, but I'd seen another woman, I don't know, 2 days before that, but I chickened out. So just out living life. And I think that's something that happens less now that I live in New York. Every time I get on the subway, I'm like, I need to be on the subway more, because every time I see somebody, but I don't like being on the subway anymore. So it's harder. But like, yeah, I should probably just come spend a month here once a year and just like roam the streets and keep finding people.
Come back. And then how does the beautiful layered process of this gorgeous fictive world that you create with each portrait, how does that happen with the clothing, the color? So can you say a few words about what happens once you've picked somebody?
Yeah, it's sometimes they have exactly what I want them to wear. There's a painting in the show called Well Prepared and Maladjusted, and the model's name is Joy. She's from Baltimore. I met her at the Walters Museum, and she had on this outfit, and I was like, oh my God, like this is it. Like she really helped me identify, just by being herself, what exactly it is that I was looking for, because she was just so fully herself, but out of the box, you know, of what we think about when we think about blackness and what it means, you know, amid like what we're fed in the media. So it kind of started with her, and kind of, you know, I have these stories in my head from different films, and I always say the movie Big Fish was a big one for me, just because I realized that I watched that movie and I felt a little pain of like envy, because I'm like, I want to see stories like this exist in the world about myself. And so it started with this kind of fantastical, performative, connected to the circus stage kind of thing. And at the time when I was like work study, I don't know, I was working for Ken Martin in the sculpture class at MICA as like kind of like a teacher's assistant. And my friend Valeska Popolou was in that class, and she was a fabrics and textile major, so she was making these costumes about the environment. And so the first works are basically inspired by her work in textile, and I took her costumes and put them on my figures. And they read very different on, you know, a white woman versus a black person. So it started with that, and just continued. And then I realized, I can't use props for everything, because then you just, you know, I was like trying to figure out what was going to be sustainable. You know, I knew that once I decided on something, and if I became known for that, then it would be something that I would have to expound upon for the rest of my career. So I was making very strategic choices about what flag I was going to plant on that hill and die on, you know, before I fully committed. But it was a natural evolution.
I mean, there's so many jewels in what you just said. The first is that when you saw this woman at the Walters, you thought to yourself, she is being her best self, and she is not living up to what social media is expecting, or what the media is creating as a stereotype of what a black woman should be. So that's number one I find fascinating. You were purposely trying to push that. And then number two, you were trying to create beauty that could be existing in the white world, but for black folks. So how do you pick your beautiful colors? How does that happen?
Oh, it's intuitive. It's intuitive.
But are you making your own colors? That's what I wanted to ask you. Are you actually making those tubes of paint? Everybody saw those tubes of paint in 60 minutes.
I do now. I think part of the joy for me after this very busy 9 years has been like and just trying to like keep it new and keep it fresh. I'm in a marriage now, you know, and so with my practice, you have to keep it fresh. It's like in a relationship, you know. And I would challenge myself to make a color that had never been made before, which is not realistic, right? But I would try to make a pink that I had not seen before, or I'd try to make, you know, a green I had not seen before, or some, you know. So those, and then myself and my studio assistant, we would have fun like naming the colors. But they're just intuitive, but I know what works and what doesn't work. Like if something's on the canvas, I know exactly what it needs to be in order to make the painting feel special and not just flat. Because color lives, color has energy, and color can be directed in any way that you want it to go to create whatever kind of feeling and emotion that you want. And so those I work on trying to make really, really special, because I think that's where a lot of the energy comes from the work, because it is like a minimalist version of figuration.
It is.
There are no landscapes. Sometimes, you know, I do try to capture those kinds of things sometimes in the clothes with the sweaters or whatnot, but the colors are what really, I think, it's what creates the portals for people to enter into the work.
And what's coming across is that this is all incredibly time-intensive, laborious decision, micro-decision after micro-decision. How long would you say it takes to make a painting for you these days?
It kind of depends. Like the triptych out there took about 6 months. It took a while to perfect the shadow color. For me, like the most important part were the shadows behind the figures inside of the box, because I really wanted those to glow and not fall flat. So anywhere between a month to 6 months, depending on the detail in the clothes and things like that.
And so it's all these beautiful layers of energy that you're describing, the energy of the sitter, the energy of the palette. And then photography, when does that enter the process?
It's how I start everything. So I have an idea, and it's become more and more complicated, I guess, as my practice grows.
Oh, really?
So now I'm like building. I had those I don't know what you want to call them, those huts, cabins, houses. I had those built so that I could actually put them outside at a certain...
You had those built?
Yeah, I have one in my studio now. I have one, so it's just one. But I photographed different people inside of those one, and inside of that one. And because I like to know exactly how the light's going to hit it, you know, and I wanted those long shadows on the front of it, because otherwise it might have felt empty, you know. So just planning things, planning the composition out in a way where everything is activated, because it can be like a bad thing to have like a full flat white thing on a canvas, right? So it's like, now how do I activate this and like make it come alive?
Yeah. So
And I can't make that up. I'm smart, but I'm not that smart.
I think you're that smart, Amy. Let's go back to the moment when you're here in Baltimore, you're finding these models with that ineffable spark that you say. It could be at Mom's, it could be at a museum. You're thinking of colors, you're thinking of something that's a little bit like a circus. I just love that you mentioned that, because I can see that in some of your early works. What led you to think, I'm going to submit a painting to this portrait competition at the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a list of things that you just do every year, or it's every 2 years. I was a little pissy about it, because it's $50, and when you're already broke, you're like, why do I have to pay this institution to look at my work? And I was like trying to do the math of like how much money they were making, especially if I lost, you know. I'm like, so I just did it. I don't know, and I kind of half-assed it because I was like, I'm not going to win anyway. So, but I ended up winning, which is crazy. But yeah, it was just on the list. I mean, you go to the website, you're like, apply for this, apply for this, apply for this. Everybody was always no. Elizabeth Greenshill's Foundation, no. Like, everybody was always no. And I got my one big yes. Changed my life.
I guess what strikes me, Amy, is how even though being an artist is filled with so many moments of struggle, you persevered. There was something in you that told you, I need to keep making and making. And you applied to this portrait competition, you won, and then it seems like history just kind of sped up for you. I remember I was there, and I remember hearing the former First Lady Michelle Obama describe meeting you, and there was just this instant charisma and energy exchange. And so, do you remember what that time was like in your life when you were selected by the former First Lady to make that portrait? What were you feeling and thinking?
I was excited. I'm very stoic when I shouldn't be. I was like, okay, cool, that's cool. That's cool. All right, you got this. All right, you know. So it's very. I'm not a screamer. I'm not, you know. So I was just like, all right, cool. And I sat down for a second, and I always say, like, I turned to my dog, August Wilson, and I was like.
August Wilson must have been
like,
freaking out for you.
Yeah, like you're about to eat some better dog food. My friend. And then I had to get back to work because I had a deadline. Like I had to finish these other paintings, you know, that were going somewhere, untitled or somewhere. But and then I also felt like I also felt like I didn't survive everything I've been through to not get this.
Yes.
I mean, I wasn't expecting to get it, but I'm like, in what world do I get this opportunity and I don't get it? You know? So
Yeah.
that's how it happened.
Yeah. Here's the opposite way of asking this. Did you ever want to stop painting?
Oh, yeah. I was not, like, you're 40 years old, you're single. I'm like, this is not cute anymore. What? And you see like a hot guy. I always see like hot guys coming to Woodbury Kitchen. I'm like, they're not gonna talk to me. Like in my little gray skirt and fry boots and my apron on. Like they're not gonna, you know. So yeah, because you start to get, if you think about it too long, you start to get afraid because you're like, what's gonna happen if I fail? But then you're like, what's gonna happen if I quit? And like I just couldn't quit. I'm like, I'm gonna ride this down to the ground, and I'll figure it out. I'll be a restaurant manager or something. You know, like I got experience. I've been coffee cuppings. I'm like wine tastings. Like I can figure it out. You know what I mean? But I just couldn't do it. I couldn't stop.
We're all the better for it. How would you describe the biggest shift in your technique, in your vocabulary around 2007, 2008 with the grayscale and or what we now know as the Amy Sherald style, something that you were quite cognizant of trying to make sure that you were putting a flag down, as you said.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's all, you're not really thinking about these things while you're working, right? So you're showing up to the studio every day, and you're trying to see what works. And sometimes you do something and it works, and you're like, you pause and you're like, should I continue this? And then you say, I think I should. You know, I give myself permission because I give myself a lot of rules too. So it was just a natural evolution, and I just felt the power of it in the moment, especially, you know, I like to, when I went to Sofia Reina in Madrid, I had an epiphany just looking at, I don't know who it was Velázquez or who, yeah. So just the fact that the backgrounds were all so dark, and then there's these figures in his paintings, and their skin is very pale. So like mine is just the reverse of that, basically, where I have all this color surrounded by a gray figure. And so for me, aesthetically, I thought it was beautiful and it worked that way. But then it also, in hindsight, like I said, I've said in other interviews that it just allowed me to feel as if I was protecting the figures from being marginalized, and not just being, you know, spoken about in one way, shape, or form. Like I wanted the work to be kaleidoscopic. It represents who I am in the world and how I live in the world. And if you're ever at a dinner party at my house, you might experience 3 different religions, 5 different languages, and you know, there's a level of acceptance there that I wanted the work to also have. That same kind of generosity.
You've said to me, and it sounds like at the Reina Sofia you had one of these moments, you've said to me that throughout your life there's been moments that are literally cosmic, that you feel in your body something clicks and you just know. And you've described that quite beautifully elsewhere as well. Have you had that recently? Have you had a moment where you're like, this is what I'm supposed to do?
No, unfortunately, I've been waiting for it all year. But I went to New Zealand. I'm like, it's going to happen in New Zealand. It's going to happen in New Zealand. It didn't happen. I don't know if it's going to happen like that again.
Really?
And I guess you're speaking to just like what I'm going to do next. I don't know, but I do land on things that sit heavier than other things. But the light bulb moment that I had when I finally figured out like that this was going to be what I was going to make came full on sound effect, light bulb, pop, heard it turn on, felt it in my brain, like it was like real, you know? So I hope something like that happens again, but it's different now because you're already deep into your space. You're working every day, and so now you're just working in a place of trust with yourself and with your intuition, and trusting that you have the ability to call forward what it is that you're supposed to put out in the world. And then when you receive that idea, sitting with it and just giving birth to it and knowing that if it doesn't work, then you also have the capacity to fail fast and to keep moving. And so I work, the art market is fast, and I work kind of disconnected from that. And I never want to feel like I'm pushed to have to make something just because there's a demand for it on the market, because everything that I put out, for me anyway, has to be better than what I was doing before and just as meaningful as what I was doing before, or I just don't want to make it.
Yeah, you are a painter with a soul. I mean, I think that's coming across so clearly here. You are somebody who both sees beauty but feels beauty, but also so many other things around beauty. And so
it's really about integrity. That's just the one thing that there's sacrifices that come in life, like you give up stuff, but that's one thing that I can't do it. Like if I have to give up everything I have to maintain my integrity, then that's what I'm going to do.
What keeps you painting? What about it makes you happy, Amy?
Money, just be honest.
The dollars.
The dollars. I mean, like, I would still be doing it if I was broke, but like, I definitely like getting paid. I mean, it's nice. I'm an adult now too. Like, I have a 90-year-old mother, so for me also, I look at things like, okay, this worked out just in time for me to like take care of my mom. She's 90. You know, that's one thing that stressed me out in my 30s was that she was in her 70s then, and there were times where I knew she needed things that I felt selfish about pursuing this dream of being a painter because I couldn't provide for her in the ways that my friends at that time who went to medical school and like already had jobs were able to do. So that weighed me down for so long, but I told her, I'm like, look, it worked out.
It totally worked out.
Like, if I had been a neurosurgeon, I would have been poorer than I am now, so it's like...
Couple of quick questions about the title, which I told you is just so magnificent and perfect. Amy Sherald, American Sublime. How did you arrive at that title, and why is the American part just as important?
Yeah, so like, I don't remember how I found it, to be honest. I'm trying to think, but I don't remember. I just remember coming to it and then Googling it to see like where else it existed in the world. And then I'm like, oh, Elizabeth Alexander wrote a book, The American Sublime. This is perfect. But it was long before all of this, and I knew that I should save it for a museum show because it's the only thing that fully encompassed this whole idea that I had of putting this work and these images in the world and what it fully represents. And it represents what I have done, but I'm thinking back to W.B. Du Bois and the exhibition he curated in Paris in 1904, something like that. Mm-hmm. But it was the same thing. It's a representation of excellence that I don't know what else I would have called it. Everything else would have diminished it. But it's the Americanism, I think, that I had to have American in the title because I wanted that to be the most salient thing on people's minds as they entered into the exhibition, because this is not just an exhibition of a black painter that paints black people. That's very diminishing. It's an exhibition of an American person that's painting American people, which is more inclusive. Just the clapping and the attention makes me want to like get so shy.
You said that when you were walking through a museum in college and you saw that Bo Bartlett painting, you had never seen a black person in paint before. Mm-mm. And now, here you are. There's an entire exhibition of one beautiful painting of a beautiful black person after another. What are you hoping that little black kids everywhere will be thinking when they walk through your exhibition?
Just joy. That's all. Just joy.
You've done that very well. Last two questions. Have you ever thought about experimenting with anything other than paint? Any other media?
Sculpture, for sure. And film, but I don't know what it would be yet. Mm. And I'm working on a project now that's like a theater project that I can't speak too much about, but that's offering me the opportunity to really give these figures a narrative, which is really exciting. Because I don't feel like, again, I give myself these rules, like I feel as if parts of this practice that you're seeing now I have to leave behind. And those are the smaller works, the individual portraits. I feel like those have come to an end in a way. Like I can't have another show and be like, ta-da! Like here's some more. So I feel like right now I'm trying to figure out what's going to evolve out of that, but in the meantime, I'm also thinking about how to give them a life of their own in another way. But yeah, like maybe photography, maybe everything, I'm open to it as it comes, but it has to make sense for the work, and it has to be the kind of expansion that my practice needs.
Yeah, and you're a natural storyteller, you're a gifted storyteller. You put together these sets that become these paintings, and you built that beautiful white box that's in a.
Well, that was Wes Anderson.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a telephone booth in a movie, Grand Budapest Hotel. But it was like, it looked different and it had telephone on it. So I took the structure and the idea and then put it in the blue sky and changed the narrative around it.
It looks nothing like Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
It is all you, Amy Sherald.
Well, thank you.
Your own invention. And we're talking about Ecclesia, the triptych, in the front room, which I know is a big favorite for so many. I wish we had it in our museum. Amy, I've said this to you. This is hopefully one of many career retrospectives for you. You're at the height of your powers, but I know magically that you're going to go even beyond. What do you imagine your retrospective as, God willing, an 80-plus-year-old woman would look like? What do you imagine that to look like?
That's a good question. Lots of paintings, but there's some sculpture ideas that I have that, they're expensive to make. And I feel like if I make it, I need to know where it's going to go because it's too big to sit in my studio. So a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff.
Maybe even food.
And me looking cute in a wheelchair, maybe, or something, like a walker. Still coming out to Lil Wayne.
Amy, I am not exaggerating when I say this. This is my last question. You will go down in history as one of the most important painters of our time. Full stop. Thank you. Full stop. People walk through that exhibition and they come out changed, and they just don't understand how these could be created. So I want to ask you, how do you want people to remember you? How do you want to be remembered in culture writ large? Because I think it's even beyond art history right now. It's the world. How do you want to be remembered?
I mean, hopefully, in the next 20 years, the legacy will evolve from more than just painting to something philanthropic. So just somebody that gave back and made the world a better place, I just want to leave it better than what I came into it. And it may be kind of funny and kind of cute. I don't know.
You have a heart as big as the world, Amy. Integrity is indeed what I will think of when I think of you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Amy Sherald, thank you.